if you as a non-Dutch
Tulips
complain about stuff in the Netherlands, or complain about Dutch things or Dutch culture or Dutch anything, it won't go over well, okay? The Dutch feel like they have a monopoly on complaining about the Netherlands.
You know what? I'm going to complain about anything I want, wherever I want, and you can't stop me. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are going to be finding out how to piss off the Dutch. That's right. So the video title is literally how to piss off the Dutch. And then in, parentheses, in those things there, it says, if you ain't Dutch, you don't mean much. Which, of course, that's not the actual saying. It's if it's not Dutch, it's not much. But anyways, this is by Walter's World. So go check this out. As always, you can find a link to the original video down in that description section. So make sure you go do that. And we're going to go ahead and jump into this and see what it's all about. See how to piss off you Dutchies.
Hey fellow travelers, Mark here with Walter's World. Today we're in Schiphol Airport outside of Amsterdam. Today we're going to talk about ways that tourists could upset the locals here in the Netherlands when they come visit. Because when you're a tourist, you might do things that you think is totally fine, but in the country you go to won't go over very well. So I want to give you some of the heads up and some of the ways you could really upset the locals when you're here. And you know what? I'm not going to beat around the bush with the first thing we talk about. And the first thing that might upset people is if you beat around the bush. Look, you have to realize the Dutch are very straightforward. They're very forthcoming. They're very honest, and they expect everyone to be that way. And so sometimes when people come to the Netherlands, they feel that the people are kind of rude, or they're just really, really direct, and they are. That's how it is here. And
they're not really meaning it to be rude, though.
If you're not, forthcoming to them, they kind of take that the wrong way. So they don't like the passive-aggressive stuff. They don't like, people talking behind their backs. They want to know what people think right away.
So I thought that it looked like raw chicken at first, and I'm like, why in the world would they be eating raw chicken? Like, why? Why would they do that and film it, right? I realized it was salted herring.
They don't like, people
Yeah, that's salted herring.
talking behind their backs. They want to know what people think right away. So don't beat around the bush, because if you do and you're not forthcoming, that kind of makes the Dutch a little unhappy with you. And I think another thing that kind of upsets the locals is if a tourist or a foreigner, then they come and visit and they get upset about the honesty. Look.
Basically, just don't be a snowflake. Some people can just be direct. It doesn't mean they're trying to be rude. So it is what it is, right? Sorry.
Dutch aren't always PC, I'll tell you that right now. But the thing is they're honest with you, and they'll tell you their thoughts. They'll ask you, hey, why are you so fat, Mark? Or what are you doing here? Why aren't you in Spain with better weather? I mean, they'll be honest.
I wonder if that's a question he actually got.
And so them being honest with you, they kind of are upset if you don't appreciate that honesty back, okay? So that's kind of one thing I think you really need to be ready when you are here, because it's something that you might think you're being, kind and not saying something, whereas really, the locals really want to know what your thoughts are, okay? So those are two things that kind of go together. I think it's important to know, but probably one thing where you'll really hear their anger at you, or their ding anger at you, is if you stand in the bike lane. Look, nothing upsets a Dutch person more than if a tourist is walking through Amsterdam or Utrecht or wherever, and there's a nice red lane where the bikes go, and the tourist is standing right there.
Basically, it's treated as like any other, street, right? So like if you're in the United States, you got vehicles, right? Over there, it's a vehicle. It's a mode of transportation. It's treated as such. So it's the same thing as being here and just standing around, wasting time walking around in the street, and there's cars trying to drive by. They're going to be annoyed. It's exactly the same thing. It's a street for a bike. It's not like in America where there's nothing really built for bicycles too much, so the bikes just go wherever they want. Normally, the bikes are in everybody else's way here. So that's probably why a lot of people have the misconception that they can just walk around in the bike lanes over there, because over here the bikes go in the walking, the sidewalks. Basically the people would have priority over the bikes. So Way different over there. Probably better though. I mean, you need to be able to get around the city a lot better without using cars and wasting gas, ruining the environment, polluting, wasting space when you're just going across town. It's nice, just get on a bike and go, right?
Look, you will get the ding, 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 and you might get hit by a bike, and no one is going to care. Look, you can get killed by the bikes. Nobody's going to cry for you. They're going to be even more upset with your corpse because now your corpse is lying in their bike lane. Look, that is one guaranteed way to really upset the locals is upsetting the bike lane, okay? So make sure you're paying attention when you're walking around. If you're walking and you notice you're walking on a red path or a bike path that has a bike on it, get out of the way because a bike will be coming soon.
I feel like this is all stuff he's learned from experience, for sure. He seemed a little jaded. He's like, you can get killed by the bike, they won't even care. Now they're just mad because your corpse is laying there. They're mad at your corpse. He got yelled at for being in the bike lane. That's what happened. I'm pretty sure.
And that's what those ding-dings are that you're hearing.
That's what he heard. He heard that because he was in the bike lane, I'm sure.
They're warning you that they're coming to get you, you stupid tourist. No.
Yeah, Mark.
Another thing I think is important for tourists to know when they do come here, or if you're going to study here or whatever, is the Dutch really do like their rules. They like their Dutch rules. There's things they're kind of expected when you're here, and if people don't follow the rules, the locals don't like that. So I think that's kind of important to know. And if you make a promise to a Dutch person, you made a promise. Remember, you're honest, you keep your word, kind of thing here. So if you say you're going to meet them at 8 o'clock, you meet them at 8 o'clock.
That's something I'd be bad about. I run late a lot. I don't mean to. I really don't. I mean, I guess I would get used to it. I'd love to be on time. I'd like to be on time all the time. I try. It just doesn't always happen.
Not 8:30, not 9, not 7. It's 8. Okay, you keep your word. You're not late. You do what you say you're going to do. Because the Dutch very much are, hey, we have these rules. They're there to be followed, so follow them. Because if you don't, then they get a little upset. And that can be from working on a project if you're a student, or working on a project at work, or setting up a tour with somebody, okay? Now, another thing I've seen that's kind of upset some of the locals from other tourists when they come to visit here is when tourists think that all the Dutch are smoking dope and doing drugs all the time because of the reputation of Amsterdam, the coffee houses.
It's literally the same as any other country. You got people that smoke, you got people that don't smoke. Amsterdam just happens to have coffee shops. A lot of tourists go there to smoke, so you're going to have a lot of people in those areas that do smoke. And most of them aren't even Dutch. They're tourists from other countries. Not saying the Dutch don't smoke. Of course, there's something to do.
In the red light districts and stuff like that. Look, the red light district, the coffee shops in Amsterdam, it's not the locals going there the most of the time. It's the tourists. If you go in the southern part of the country, it's a lot of Germans that are taking part in the...
Yeah, and also, I'm pretty sure the coffee shop, it might be more expensive to go to the coffee shops. Like, the locals probably know the grower. They're probably going straight to the source.
The affairs, let's say. And so the locals kind of take that as an affront to them, like, look, that's not us. That's not us. That's the tourists that come here, okay? And so there's actually been a lot of discussion about that in the community here in the Netherlands about those very things, okay? So just know that they will not take it kindly if you're like, oh, you're from the Netherlands, you got a blunt for me? No, that's not going to go over. I think another thing that goes along with the coffee shops, the party culture, the party atmosphere, and the party kind of mentality people have when they come to Amsterdam, when they come to the Netherlands, is something that does actually upset the locals. And that's if you're one of those drunk tourists, or one of those high tourists, or one of those drunk and high tourists who falls into the canals in Amsterdam. Look, the crazy tourists, the loud, out of control tourists.
I hear a lot of them are British. No hate, though. If you're British and you're watching this, love you guys too. Just what I heard. It's what I hear.
To come here when they party too much, that's something locals don't like either. Like, they don't want to go and then be there when
not the loud drunkenness, Not saying you guys are throwing trash all over the place. Like, that's not what I was saying. I was talking about the drunk part.
So do be aware of that, because if you are messed up, people aren't going to help you very much because they're kind of upset with you. So just be ready and know your limits when you're coming to the Netherlands, okay, if you're going to be doing those things. I think one of the most important things for a tourist coming here is if you do go to a coffee shop and you are going to partake, talk to the people that are selling the stuff there. Tell them about your experience with whatever you're doing so they can help you pick out something better for you. Because what you're going to get at a coffee shop in the Netherlands is going to be very different than what you get back home. Now, another kind of small thing that
Yeah,
doesn't always
no.
annoy the locals, but sometimes people will comment about that, is if you call the Netherlands Holland. Well, I should say this. When you call the Netherlands Holland outside of a football, soccer game kind of thing. Look, if you didn't know, Holland is basically like
It's just a couple of provinces, guys.
80-90% of the Netherlands, but it's not all of the Netherlands.
It's not 80 or 90%. I mean, I could see maybe if he said 80% of the people in the Netherlands lived in Holland, perhaps. A lot of the country does live in that more populated area, but it in itself is not 80 or 90% of the Netherlands. It's not even half of the Netherlands, I don't think, land size.
Netherlands. And so for those people that don't
Walter.
live in the Holland part, they might not like that. Okay, so that's one thing to think about. And I think another thing that's important. This is one thing I think is kind of a common thing in every country, but I think it's really important to mention here is if you as a non-Dutch
Tulips.
complain about stuff in the Netherlands or complain about Dutch things or Dutch culture or Dutch anything, it won't go over well. Okay, the Dutch feel like they have a monopoly on complaining about the Netherlands.
You know what? I'm going to complain about anything I want, wherever I want, and you can't stop me.
And no one else should do that. And if you do that as a tourist, well, shut your mouth because the Dutch get to do all the complaining about it, all right?
I will out-complain you. Just watch.
I guess in a way it goes to our next thing where I want to say, if you're not Dutch, you don't mean much. And this is
I do.
one thing. If you talk to international people and foreigners that have come here to study or work here, sometimes there very much is this, if you're not Dutch, you don't mean much mentality. And if you want to see it really come out, and you want to see some heated conversations, okay, some honest kind of conversations, bring up North Africa, bring up the refugees that are here, bring up Eastern Europeans. These are things that are like really buzz topics that will really get people going and talking and really heated in their discussions about these things. So
different than, it's not the people, it's the influx of migration, it's the housing crisis, it's everything else that's involved, the side effects of the people from other places. It's not the people themselves. Just like here, nobody has a problem with people from Ecuador or Mexico or Venezuela. It's the influx of illegal migration at the Mexican border. All the people just jumping through the fence, skirting around the rules, breaking in the wrong way, that's causing problems. It's a heated topic for us here. Doesn't mean we're all racist against Mexicans. That's not how it works. Just like the Dutch people don't hate everybody else that's not Dutch. They don't immediately think somebody's less than because they're not Dutch. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that.
that's something you got to think about. But it is one of those things that people that come here realize that the Dutch have the Dutch, and then there's everybody else. Okay, so
but every country's like that. It really is.
You're not taking that into consideration, you might see that they might get a little upset with you, which is interesting because
that works
when you
everywhere.
try to integrate, like if you're trying to speak Dutch, I think that's another thing that kind of annoys the Dutch when you're here is if you, as someone who's not a native Dutch speaker, tries to speak Dutch or tries to begin sentences in Dutch, you'll notice that the locals here go straight to English.
It's not because they're annoyed. It's because you suck at Dutch. Why are they going to stand there for 10 minutes trying to figure out what you're trying to say when it's so much easier? Their English is way better than your Dutch. So they switch to English. Get what you're trying to say done real quick. It's efficient. Why waste time? That's what that is about.
Perfect English, by the way. Perfect English. And you may just want to practice your Dutch or improve your Dutch.
Yeah,
and the people
perfect.
are like, dude, stop speaking Dutch. Go to English. I'm way better at my English than you are on your Dutch. Yeah, they are. The Dutch are 10,000 times better at their English.
They're better at English than I am, okay?
Than you at your Dutch. But the thing is, it's hard for you as a foreigner here, as a visitor here, as a tourist here, as someone studying here to learn the language because the locals get kind of annoyed when people don't switch to English.
But the thing is, the locals aren't there to teach you Dutch. It's not their job to sit there and teach anybody anything. So they're just trying to get their job done. If they're working in a restaurant and you're trying to fumble over something in Dutch and, they're just trying to sell you a damn sandwich. They're trying to figure out what kind of sandwich do you want. You got a line of people behind you. I ain't got time to sit here and figure this out because you don't know how to speak the language. They're going to switch to English. It makes complete sense.
So that is one of those things that is kind of funny that usually like, oh, I'm trying. They're like, yeah, stop. Just go to English, okay? And I think one of the Dutch culture things that
Ik spreek een beetje Nederlands.
sometimes can bring up a little bone of contention with people is if you're coming around Christmas time and you see Black Peter or Zwarte Piet. Let's just say this: just go, yeah, he's from Spain, and just drop the subject because it's just not going to go well. All right.
Got a video about that. Check it out.
And then I think the last one I want to talk about, ways that you can annoy your Dutch friends very quickly, is if you surprise them. Look, the Dutch do not like surprises.
I don't either. Do not come to my house without telling me ahead of time. I don't like it. Call me, text me, something. Don't just knock on my door. Don't like it. Never have, never will. I'm sorry.
They do not like unplanned stuff. If you're going to do something with the Dutch on a weekend, okay, you're going to go out, you're going to do things. They're going to, okay, where are we going to go eat? Where are we going to go drink? Where are we going to go next? What time are we going to meet? What time are we going to end? Like, it's very much kind of a planned out kind of thing. And if you're a fly by the seat of your pants person, that might not go over so well here. Now, the Dutch are pretty cool about things. And it's one thing is a lot of times these things that might annoy them, you'll never realize it because the Dutch are like, whatever. But it's something to kind of think about. And that kind of that spontaneity thing, maybe make sure you kind of talk about the plans, and God forbid you show up at your Dutch friend's house without letting them know. You might as well just don't do that, okay? Because the locals will not like that. All right. So these are just some things that I've seen in all my visits here in the Netherlands.
This is all the things he's done wrong and he's learned from experience.
Like little things that tourists do that might annoy the locals. Not, they won't annoy everybody, and I'm sure there's other things that do annoy the locals. Please put in the comments section below so we can help tourists that come to the Netherlands do a better job of learning more about this beautiful country and the wonderful people that are here. And yes, they are very straightforward. They are very honest, but you know what? They have some of the best sense of humor you'll find in Europe. So enjoy your time here. You will love it, from the beautiful cities to the fantastic food to the crazy people and all the fun stuff in between. Anyway, I wish you all the best, and I'll say bye from here in Schiphol Airport. Flying out.
Yeah, so basically says visiting the Netherlands can be an incredible experience. The tulips, the art, the bikes, the clogs, the dry sense of humor of the Dutch. But there are a few things the tourists do that really upset locals when you come to the Netherlands. So whether you're heading to Amsterdam or Utrecht, here are some things to remember so you can be a better tourist in the Netherlands. Filmed at Schiphol Airport in the Netherlands. So basically, yeah, I don't know. Half of it was right, half of it was wrong. You heard my comments, my reactions. Let me know what you think down below. You guys have a super fun, awesome day. Check out the Patreon, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.